One thing people seem to never talk about enough is how difficult it is to move to Canada alone and having to start life all by yourself all over again. I moved by myself and I can tell you how challenging it was for me transitioning into Canada by myself without any support from anyone. Hey guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I can remember how worried and afraid my parents were when I told them that because they know clearly we have no friends or family in Canada. So how do you want to go there and start life afresh by yourself? And to me at that time, I was telling myself, don't worry, it's okay, I've got this. And truly I did. Looking back now, that was such a bold and courageous move that I made. I can't tell you that the transition was seamless or smooth. So today I'm sharing with you those challenges that I faced moving alone to Canada and how I overcome them to help you deal with your situation better. Once my visa and my passport arrived, the next thing I did was to book my one-way flight to move to Canada as a permanent resident. Once your application is approved, you'll be getting an email with next steps on how to settle in Canada. Take those resources very, very seriously. I did apply for one of the newcomer program and I completed the course to transition into Canada. They would give you helpful resources on like getting job in Canada, settling in Canada, how to choose cities and all of those things. I took advantage of those resources and made sure to utilize them. Where do you stay when you are moving to Canada? If you have friends and family in Canada, you might be able to get like a soft landing or warm welcome by your friends and family. But for me, I didn't have any, so I had to resort to staying in an Airbnb, which is what I'll recommend to people that are moving alone to Canada. You can get an Airbnb or a homestay apartment for a few weeks after your arrival. All you just need to do is to sign up on Airbnb website or homestay, which is very similar to Airbnb, and you find an affordable apartment in a nice city. You can choose to share space with a host where you'll be staying in a room in their house or in their home. That was exactly what I did. I stayed in a home where I got a one-bedroom with other guests in the house, and we're sharing this space with the host. We had shared washroom, kitchen, and other amenities. Transit from the airport was very seamless and straightforward. For some people, they would have someone that could pick them up from the airport to their apartment or their place of residence. But in my own case, once I picked up my bag from baggage claim, I headed straight to the gate and the doors, then went to take a taxi. That's the easiest option. Uber is also an affordable and accessible option, but you need to have the Uber app already installed on your phone and connected to a card. There are some things that you need to make sure to do within your first week of arrival. I have a whole video dedicated to that, but here are some of the things you need to do once you arrive. I recommend you bring cash in form of US dollars before moving to Canada. And once you get to the airport, you are able to exchange the US dollars to Canadian dollars. I wouldn't recommend you exchange a lot of money because the exchange rate at the airport is really not the best, but you can just get maybe somewhere around $100 that would help you get transport from the airport to the residence that you'll be staying, and you could also use the rest to buy food for the next few days. Next, you should go to the closest Service Canada to you to apply for your social insurance number. After you do that, you should now be getting your Canadian phone number. Opening a bank account would now be easy once you have your social insurance number and you have your Canadian phone number. You can walk to the closest bank to you to set up a bank account. While you open your bank account, be sure to apply for a credit card alongside. Next, you should be going to the closest provincial office to you to apply for a health card. So if you stay in province of Ontario, you should be going to Service Ontario to apply for your health card. Next is to get the driver's license in Canada. If you have a driver's license from your home country, you can come with a driving record that would show your historical driving experience, and you can use that to waive some points instead of starting all over again to get your driver's license. Once you have done all of these things, you can start looking for a permanent place that you can reside and also looking for a job. Renting an apartment in Canada is a bit tricky and challenging, especially for newcomers, because the potential landlord would want you to provide things like credit report. They want to see that you have full-time employment. They want to see your pay stub. They want you to get reference. They want all of these things from you, which might be difficult for a newcomer to provide, which is why I recommend just renting a simple or a small apartment in a house. So you can consider getting a shared apartment with someone where both of you would be contributing to the rent. You can also consider getting a room in a house where you'll be sharing with other residents, or you can consider getting a basement as well. I have a whole video on how to find apartments in Canada. The best place to find apartments would be on Kijiji and on Facebook Marketplace. Another easy way for newcomers to find apartments is to use a realtor. Don't worry about the cost of using a realtor because the landlord will be taking care of those costs. Because I was able to complete one of the newcomer programs before moving to Canada, I had already upgraded my LinkedIn to Canadian standard. I've already also built my Canadian resume to start applying for jobs. Working in Canada was a bit tricky for me because when I came here, I had the mindset that I would start my business that I was doing back home. I would just continue or do something similar here and make money instead of working a 9-to-5. But I quickly realized that that decision would be very, very hard because I was very new and I didn't have any business experience in Canada. With my LinkedIn updated and my new resume, I became more attractive to employers and I started to apply for jobs. Some of the best websites to find jobs in Canada is Indeed.ca, Monster.ca, and of course LinkedIn. Now, working in Canada as a professional is very, very, very challenging. It's not as easy as the media make it seem because you would apply for countless jobs and you may never get a call back. And this is why you should always have a backup plan. I had 3 backup plans just in case one plan didn't go well. My first backup plan was to take up any survival job to work maybe as a cashier or even front desk. The second plan was to re-enroll in school to get a Canadian education. Maybe this would help me transition into the workspace easily. My last backup plan was to take my content creation more seriously. I had already owned a YouTube channel and I was posting consistently. At the time I moved, my channel gained traction and I became monetized. So my plan was to continue to post content and probably become a full-time creator to generate source of income. But luckily for me, I was able to get my first job in customer service in Canada. Settling down in Canada doesn't just stop at housing. You also have to think about things like food, shopping, getting supplies, and even clothing. When I first moved, I used to buy my supplies and groceries from Walmart, which is a very expensive store. I also used to buy some snacks from Shoppers Drug Mart, which is also very expensive. I had no idea that those stores were highly priced. Affordable grocery stores would be No Frills, Fresh Co, Food Basic, or even Sobeys sometimes. Try as much as you can to avoid stores like Loblaws or Metro. They are highly priced. In terms of clothing and other supplies, I was able to buy them from thrift stores. I got my blender, my electric kettle, some jackets, some clothing from thrift store, and trust me, some of them I still use till date and they were very good and I got them at very affordable prices. You can also shop some household supplies from Dollarama as their price is from $5 and below. Making friends in Canada is very, very hard. This is one of the most avoided topics by new immigrants, and this is something that we all face anyway because we human beings are social in nature and God never created us for us to not have to interact with one another. As a newcomer or as a single person that moved to Canada, it's very hard for you to make friends. If I were married, I'll be friends with my husband automatically, or if I have kids, then we can spend time together bonding. But for me, I was in the room all by myself. I didn't have anyone to interact with, which made my social life in Canada very boring when I just moved. And apart from that, even making friends as an adult is very hard because people only want to have meaningful friendships and meaningful relationships. And as a newcomer, how do you show to people that already have their life settled here that you have value to even offer to them? It was very hard for me to make friends, but because I think I would consider myself an extrovert and a bit sociable in nature, I was able to make friends within my first few months. One of the ways I was able to interact with people was through WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups. I also met people on like Instagram and Meetup. Meetup is like an app that allows you to interact and connect with people of similar interests. I was able to meet some people on Meetup, and as well dating apps. Don't forget, dating is also part of the life that you want to grow. I was able to meet a couple of people through dating app, and dating app is not just for you to build romantic relationships. Some of the dating apps like Bumble allow you to also make friends with people. And these days there's social media. You can use social media to interact and connect with people within your city. Just make sure that you are polite when you're reaching out to people. I've gotten a lot of people send me messages on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even LinkedIn. they reach out to you with like this very nice polite message. Hey, I'm new in your city, can we connect? And from there we exchange contacts and we become friends. I've talked about almost everything, but let me also tell you something that most people would never tell you about their experience living in Canada. When I moved here, I realized quickly that the scam rate here is also very high. Just because it's Canada doesn't mean there are no bad people here. In fact, there are a lot of bad people in Canada that are out there looking to scam you as a newcomer. There are lots of job scams, rental scams, and even credit card scams. You have to be very much aware and careful with your information. One time I got a call telling me I had a package with CBSA and they were going to hold on to my package if I don't pay X amount of dollars, and I was like, that's sauce. So you have to be very, very careful in Canada. Don't think that everybody's out here being nice because they say Canadians are nice, but also don't think that everyone is out there to get you. You need to find a balance. Then lastly, I had the ultimate decision, which was highly unlikely for me, but the ultimate final decision for me was that if I did everything in Canada that I need to do, and in 1 year I still feel like I don't like it here, I can just pack my bags and go back home. But that never happened because now I'm in my 4th year in Canada and I'm loving it so far. And that, my friend, was how I was able to overcome most of the challenges that I faced in Canada. There are a lot more that I can't think off the top of my head right now, but over time you will be able to transition and get used to your new environment. Also, don't stay by yourself. If you have any challenges, reach out to people. If you are trying to find jobs and you're not getting any callbacks, if you are okay to take survival jobs, just walk to the closest store to you and drop your resumes. Ask to speak to the manager and tell them that you're looking for a job. By the time you apply to 10, 20 jobs, someone will call you back. I know these things are very hard to say, especially if you are not the one in that situation. But at the end of the day, all we just have is hope and trust in God. So if you are considering moving to Canada and you are scared of moving alone, this has been telling you that it was totally worth it, and I highly recommend you do the same. Thanks for watching. Bye.